Hello guys and welcome to our third video on interdependence. Today we're going to talk to you about the environmental strand of interdependence. Now Josh is going to talk to you about this strand and we're going to show you how a global network of systems, the weather system, hurricanes affect different countries across the world using Africa, America and Europe as a case study. I'll now pass you over to Josh.
Thanks, Dan. Well, to start with Africa, over here we have the Sahel region of Africa. This is a dry area just south of the Sahara, and it experiences very dry conditions, very warm, dry winds blowing across it. These dry conditions lead to desertification occurring, both due to these climatic conditions and just over degradation of the land due to farming and other activities. But this warm air blowing across the Sahel is kind of like an energy supply to this South Atlantic over here. In the South Atlantic we've got quite warm sea surface temperatures, which is 26.5, that's quite warm. Now together these factors provide a lot of energy to the system, leading to a lot of evaporation and thus a lot of clouds forming. This evaporation and cloud forming, when combined with the Coriolis effect, and what we mean by that is the Earth spins round, and this causes the weather to also spin round in an anti-clockwise direction. So the air spinning round, these clouds spinning round, actually can lead in some cases where the energy is sufficient to the formation of hurricanes. These hurricanes are driven along by this conveyor belt of energy of the seawater and the wind, and they sometimes hit landfall over here in places like Miami, and of course we know about Hurricane Katrina a couple of years ago. Where hurricanes do happen in the southern states of America, clearly it has a human impact, and vast amounts of money are pumped into various sea defences. Now, these impacts over here are interdependently connected with these causes all the way over here in Africa. If it wasn't for these environmental conditions over here, we wouldn't have to be spending such vast amounts of money on sea defences in the southern states of Florida. The situation carries on because sometimes these hurricanes, they hit the Gulf Stream and actually are driven by this Gulf Stream conveyor of warm water up towards Europe and specifically towards England. As they hit the colder water, as they get further north, the hurricanes typically dissipate a lot of their energy. So by the time they hit the UK, they're often not full-blown hurricanes, but they still provide us with some pretty stormy weather. And again, this has a human impact because it means that sea defences have to have money spent on them, otherwise erosion would have a much higher human cost. So what we're trying to highlight by this example is that all three of these places are in very different parts of the world. They're thousands of miles apart, and yet the climatic conditions are very much interdependently linked. We wouldn't get hurricanes forming if it wasn't for this warm air and warm sea conditions down here off the coast of Africa. Similarly, we wouldn't get these terrible fronts of bad weather hitting the west coast of the United Kingdom if it wasn't for these hurricanes forming over here. Hopefully this has in some way illustrated how interdependence is even present within the environment. Thanks for listening.